Hannah, I know that you're a Taylor Swift fan. I've been listening to Cruel Summer because I
Yes,
feel like it's an appropriate song
yes.
for the season that we're
It
in.
even talks about not wanting to social distance because she like sneaks in through the garden gate. And I'm like, whoa, girl. But sorry, keep going. Keep talking
No,
about.
no, no. No, that's all. That's all. I just wanted to tell you that's what
I
I've been
will tell
listening to
you
lately.
that all of the Swift verse is like super excited because they think that she's gonna release it as a single on May 8th. They've done like some weird like numerology with like her posts. And so I don't know. I mean, it is definitely like one of the most popular songs in the album, and so far every single second track on her albums has been a single.
Oh,
So
nice, nice, nice.
maybe you are being part of this prophetic Taylor Swift
I
numerology.
I'm probably just part of the Taylor Swift machine now, you know. I maybe we all are. Hannah, we are here in the second quarter of 2020. We're in
Mhm.
quarantine and we're doing a video podcast, a video cast, I guess.
Yeah, we are hip and up to technology and practicing social distancing. So
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I wanted to ask you if you could give, like, I guess, a general update on the state of SOLA Digital. Well, what happened to us during that first quarter?
yeah, so SOLA Digital has been kind of on a wild ride because, as you guys know, we had to cancel our SOLA conference this year, which was really sad. And we've been pushing for it on our platforms, from Instagram to our Facebook. And we usually get a lot of traffic during, the weeks leading up to SOLA conference because people need more information. They want to find out about speakers. They want to register. So we didn't really get a lot of that, but still, I think we've had lots of you visit our website, click on our links, read our content, and we've been very grateful. I think a lot of it has to do with just the content we're producing that is very relevant, like a lot of COVID-19 things. But yeah, we're just really glad to still be a part of people's lives during this weird season.
Yeah, it seems as if traffic for our website has not slowed down. You don't have to give the exact numbers, but any other details you want to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I mean, so thanks to the rise of great writers and ideas for Sola. I mean, 2019 was a huge year for us. We actually increased our viewership by a lot. And a lot of that had to do just with the fact that we're letting you know Facebook has algorithms, and we're just trying to use those algorithms to our benefit. So
Yeah.
if whenever you guys like or share or comment, that helps us. But also, we've had some great articles like Sujin Park, who's been on this podcast.
Mhm.
Her article on a letter to complementarian brothers and things like that have really been driving a lot of the content, and we hope that our content is relevant for our readers who tend to be Asian American, Reformed Christians, and things like that.
Yeah, actually, why don't we talk about those articles? You sent out a list of the top 5 articles so far in 2020. Can we just do a quick rundown? Maybe like your thoughts about uh,
Yeah.
each one of them. Maybe why it hit a little bit like so strongly.
Yeah, so let's talk about those in 2020. So let's start from,
Mhm.
we'll go 5 to 1. And so the
Okay.
first
Okay.
one was
Nice.
Asian Americans who are presidents of major evangelical organizations. Now, this
Mhm.
one got a little bit like controversial because we definitely left out names. We were just trying to do a few to get the conversation started, but
Right. Right.
we
Right.
did want to highlight some of these leaders who are heading these organizations that were predominantly white led. So this got a lot of traction just because people were so excited to share. People like Julius Kim and Walter Kim as well, Michael O. And then 2 other names who I just cannot remember off the top of my head. But I think it was great to see people realize that there were so many people who shared our background and shared our love for Christ. I think that was a really great one that was shared a lot. And I saw like them tagging each other. Like I guess like some of the SOLA Council members are friends with them, so they're like tagging each other, or like and things like that. That was great.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one was Faith Over Fear, COVID-19 update from Seoul. And that one was from a pastor in South Korea and South Korea was obviously like about a month or so ahead of America in
Hmm.
terms of
Hmm.
the coronavirus and the response. And so to have that perspective, I think was very helpful for people to be like, oh, like what can our church, what can our community expect? And then he had also, had that very poignant section about what does this mean for our churches? Are we doing are we kind of stripping away a lot of these things that maybe were a little more fluffy? So I think that had a really good reaction. We're actually, for you podcast listeners, a little sneak peek, we're actually asking him to write another one. Now that South Korea's kind of come out of that, they're kind of returning to life back to normal. So I'm asking him to write about what that's been like for his church.
Oh, nice.
So that'll be coming up soon. And then, obviously COVID has number 3 and number 1. Number 3 was 3 things youth pastors need to focus on during COVID-19. And number 1 was an open letter to college students. And
right.
These were really, I think, relevant. They were published early on during the crisis when things were even more tumultuous. And so I think having these perspectives from Heidi Wong, who did the college student one, and Kevin Yee, who did the youth pastor one, I think they were very good starting points for us to start thinking about COVID-19. And then number 2 was relevant in that the title said "Saying No to Tim Keller," and everyone's like, "Who would say no?" And it's Abraham Cho's interview that he did on a different podcast, but they graciously allowed us to run like a snippet and a track. That was a great one too, just to have, what does it mean for an Asian American pastor to take over one of Tim Keller's, one of the campuses from Redeemer. And that was a really good one too.
Yeah, I think what stands out to me when looking at all of these, sure, we have like the COVID like similarity through one of the top ones, but I think most of them, they're all very unique perspectives, like who else gets to say no to Tim Keller, or who else is like a college minister that can actually like speak directly to college students, or who actually lives in Seoul, and can speak to those type of things. So even though maybe some people have some similarities, for the most part, these are very unique perspectives that only those authors can bring to the table.
Yeah, and I think that speaks to the reach of SOLA in that, we're getting more contributors from different places in the world, people I've, never met before, or never heard of even, and yet to see all of us kind of come together to share resources and talk about Jesus is such a blessing.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, why else do you think that these articles performed well? Do you think that it's just randomized? I mean, you said kind of already Facebook algorithm helps with liking and sharing, but what other insider tips as the editor do you think that these articles particularly might have done so well?
I think it's a combination of, good writing, right? If it's not interesting, the first 2 paragraphs, I'm not going to read it. But yeah, I think we all love things that are timely. We want things that are relevant to our lives. And I also think they come from especially all of these articles I noticed were liked or shared a lot. So I think when it comes from somebody to share, it just makes it a little bit easier to go ahead and click through.
Oh, yeah.
And also, again, Facebook, we try to boost those posts so you guys will see them. But yeah, I really think that there's no secret. If I knew the secret, then all of our articles would go have thousands of views or whatever. But I think just the knowledge that people are reading them, that their eyes go there is awesome.
Yeah. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for doing all the hard work of editing these articles and getting them up and in a timely manner, so Isaac can put them up on those sites, and then I can make sure they get on its social. Yeah. We just recently had a web team meeting, and so we are thankful for Pastor Steve and for Jen and for Isaac, just being team players. I guess even though it's just you and me doing this podcast and people can see our faces, there is a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't know about. So props to them.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah, so typically we've been talking about at the end of our podcast, we like to say what we've been learning. But I think as you've been writing more of your own personal letter, and I think or newsletter, and as I've been, kind of dabbling in other mediums, I think it might be more appropriate to start doing what are some things we should be checking out? So that way, if you did write something new, then we can just go straight to your newsletter and see it there. What would
Yeah.
you have for us to see or recommend, or what have you been thinking about that we should go check out?
Yeah, I mean, so the two big things that I've been working on these past few weeks. So one was published yesterday. I did an interview with Pastor Ray Chang and Dr. Michelle Reyes, where I interviewed them, more like had a conversation with them about the Asian American Christian Collaborative and their
Hmm.
statement on anti-Asian racism.
Yeah.
That was a really fun talk in which I think the biggest takeaway from that, which I hope you guys will all read, is we just don't know a lot about Asian American history in America, especially if you are second gen and your parents came in the 60s. We feel like, maybe we're not that American because our history is so short. But
Yeah.
even in, just that short conversation, we were able to talk about, no, like Asian American history extends so far back. And in addition, just because our stories may seem short doesn't disqualify our stories. And even as a Korean American, on April 29th, it commemorates the LA riots. And
Mm-hmm.
and that was like 20 years ago, 30 almost
Yeah.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
And that even that is a part of this narrative of our country and how race has played a part, how and things like that. So I would definitely encourage you to take a look at that. The other thing I'm working on is I rewrote the lyrics to "My Country 'Tis of Thee." Um, uh, America is the
Right.
actual
Right.
song, and I rewrote it as a lament, protest, but also like a rallying cry to Asian Americans to kind of reclaim our identity as Americans, and not only that, as part of America. My favorite is the last verse, in which we cry out to God our Father, who is the true Father of our nation and the world. Right, He created everything, and so
Right.
that was a really fun exercise. I don't really do poetry or songwriting, but it was easier because I kind of jumped off a song, and you can find that on my newsletter somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
it's
yeah.
also yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely put the link in the show notes, and I think this will be a good way just for people to go check out what you've been up to.
And that reminds me,
Yeah.
so it actually got published at the Asian American Christian Collaborative as well. They picked it
Oh,
up,
nice.
and they had me write a little blurb. So actually, you can upload that because then it has a little bit more of a description of
Oh,
what
for
and why.
sure. Yeah, for sure. I'll go find that, and then that will be in the show notes. For me, okay, so obviously this podcast, we're gonna try to start doing more video stuff, and so I actually have an interview with James Han coming up soon.
That's
His
right.
stage name is Uzu Han, and so be looking for that. And the best way to find our podcast here at SOLA Network are to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, all your favorite podcast players, and now on Facebook, we're going to be uploading these videos. So be sure to look for that and look out for more content from SOLA Network in terms of podcasting.
Yeah, it's a whole new world, Aaron. I'm glad you're here to be our avant-garde producer.
Oh yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's fun. But now I got to work on my camera presence. I need to go put gel in my hair. I just jumped out of the shower and I was like, okay, yeah, I got this. But yeah, let's see if I can up the production ante and see what
Quarantine
happens.
chic.
Yeah. I know these video podcasts are gonna just be a diary of my hair getting longer and my appearance going in a downward spiral. Thanks, Hannah, for taking the time to jump on this podcast.
No worries. This was really fun. I can't wait to do more, but hopefully with less social distancing in the future. In this,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We still haven't seen each other in person, and this is just making it like even worse. Bye, Hannah. Thank you.
all right. Bye.